Hi, welcome to Marino Conservation Park. My name's Georgia and I'm one of the volunteers who work here in the park.
Hey Georgia, these acacia pycnanthus, they're all yours.
Yeah, we're planting them along the lighthouse track.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, I'll grab my gloves. All these trees have been planted since the park was first declared in 1989. Barbara Randall has been working here since the very beginning. What was the area like before the park was established?
We had the rubbish tip that had been filled in. We had masses of invasive olives and we had some invasive wattle species that didn't belong in the park. In the 1980s it was declared a conservation park because there were still some stands of the Acacia victoriae and there was still quite a lot of good native grasses, and that was why it was turned into a conservation park.
Okay. What about the eucalypts? You see some eucalypt trees around here now?
There were just a few eucalypts left in the park, but none of them were actually setting any seed.
Okay.
So we had to find local trees to collect the seed from. For the casuarinas, there weren't any in the park at all. I knew there should have been. I drove around all the local areas and couldn't find any, and eventually found one solitary tree which had just been cut down.
Oh.
So I went bravely and knocked on the door and said, "Do you mind if I collect seed from your dead and dying casuarina?" He said no. So I collected as much as I could. So that was the beginning of where we got our seed from. Otherwise we collected seed in the park of the few things were left, the Acacia victoriae, and a few other natives, and then lots and lots of the lower shrubby things as the years went on.
Members of the group have been collecting seeds, raising seedlings, planting and clearing out weeds on a regular basis for over 30 years. And over that time, the whole area has been transformed.
Come over and have a look at this. This is natural revegetation, I think, or regeneration. It's the lamandra. A lot of it grows over in the heath, but to see it growing here, the seed was obviously there, so it's coming back, which is great.
Walking trails have been established and are still being developed. Seats have been provided at some of the best lookout locations in the park. And we are currently enhancing the botanical trail with nameplates that identify significant plants. The real jewel in the crown of the conservation park is this area here. Leading from the track to the railway line is the best example of coastal heath in the region. Chris, why is this area of the heath so important?
This is a unique glimpse of what the coastal heath was like prior to white settlement. If you look closely, you'll find that there are many rare and beautiful plants and flowers that have adapted and survived in this windswept environment with all this clay, rocky soil. It's fantastic. And I know when you look at the heath, it looks drab and uninteresting, but when you look closely, you find that there are some stunning plants. For example, over here with this eutaxia, that's absolutely stunning. Back further, we have Pimelia, which is just about to flower. And back a bit further, you'll find that there are lots of these tiny little plants called Stadthausia, or creamy candles, which are just coming into flower. Just stunning, but they're so small that most people don't notice them. The heath has been virtually untouched since white settlement, And our job now is to keep it as pristine as we can. That means getting rid of weeds like this scabiosa and keeping a vigilant watch for olives.
They keep coming up, don't they?
They're not easy to get rid of, but we're getting there. I was told that in 1989, over on this side was virtually an olive grove. Now there are virtually none, but we do have to keep an eye on it.
And that's allowed these box mallees and Acacia victoriae to thrive. And now that they're established, the grasses and understory plants start developing, and with them comes insect and bird life. The happy wanderer butterfly is not native, but they're very beautiful. What have you got there, Alan?
Oh, there's a mistletoe bird sitting on a branch of a tree over there. They're really special birds, and we've even noticed some nesting in a patch of acacias below the landfill.
What we're seeing here is a greater diversity of bird life as the trees are starting to mature. The crested pigeons feed on the grasses. There are several species of honeyeaters, cuckoo shrikes, silvereye, wattlebirds, and we've even seen a pair of black-shouldered kites, not to mention the more common birds such as ravens, magpies, lorikeets, and many more. It's particularly encouraging to see some of the smaller birds returning as more dense vegetation expands.
I reckon I've counted about 30 different species up here.
There are birds in the trees and on the ground. Skinks, lizards and occasionally snakes can be seen in the park. Hey Gary, seen any kangaroos?
Well, I haven't seen any in the park itself, but over the back in the farmlands to the south there are some. But, so you never know, they might come in here one day. But I think as far as furry animals go, I've seen a lot of hares in this area. So, and also there's the feral foxes and cats. There's a few of those around. And across the road there, across the road in the gully, there's some koalas.
Ah!
So you never know your luck.
The park is cared for by the Friends of Marino Conservation Park. We're all volunteers and we get small amounts of funding from the Department of Environment, Water and Natural Resources. We also apply for government grants each year and use the money to buy tools and to engage contractors to assist with weed eradication. We have monthly working bees up here at the park and occasional events such as talks by experts in conservation and land rehabilitation.
We'll see new species coming in. That doesn't mean it will be new invasive species that will be coming in. New native species will naturally migrate, if they can, to fill the gaps that are left by other species that have gone extinct.
The best views, not surprisingly, are up here by the lighthouse. This area has always been government land, probably because in the old days it was valued as a lookout location. Alan, how long's the lighthouse been here?
The lighthouse was built in 1962. It's had a few upgrades, and of course, as you can see, the telecommunications people use it to put their equipment on now.
Is there a light here beforehand?
I don't believe so. There's a light, a navigation down at Port Adelaide at the harbour down there.
Okay. What are you planting here today?
We've got some of these grevilleas. It's a low-growing plant that we've sourced from over in the heath there, but it'd be a suitable one for up here in the windy area.
From up here we get a great view, not just of Adelaide's beaches and the city itself, but looking closer we can see through the trees to the Gulf. The first plantings are now mature, gnarled trees that look like they've been here forever. The weeds are still a problem on the old dump site, but we're gradually getting on top of them, and once the latest plantings mature, they'll help provide screening to the better areas of native vegetation. I love the Marino Conservation Park. The views are spectacular, and seeing the whole area regenerate into this charming grassy woodland is incredibly satisfying. Why don't you come up sometime and go for a walk on our recently built botanical trail?
Did you have a nice walk?
We did, thank you. We had a mini little picnic at the top.
Yeah, the lighthouse was at the top, wasn't it?
Tea's up, everyone. Come and get it.
If you'd like to help out, we'd love for you to join us. And if that's not your thing, then why not come up and enjoy the solitude, the breathtaking views, and breathe in the fresh air. Coffee for me, thanks, Alan.
That's all right.
White will do, thank you.
That's all right.